everyone! If you're new here, I'm Raksha and I share thoughts, research and insights on psychology and mindfulness with help from my trusted bullet journal. Mindfulness is a huge part of bullet journaling that can easily get pushed to the side when you start worrying about designs and layouts. For those of you who are interested in focusing on mindful journaling, today I'll be setting up weekly spreads for June with layouts to encourage more mindfulness in your weekly spreads. My June setup focused on it too, which I set up in my June Plan With Me video last week. In that video, I set up my first weekly spread for June already, and the layout I decided to go with was a motivational wheel, which I talked more about in a previous video. With this particular exercise, you can go into the week being a lot more aware of your threats, your drive activities and soothing activities. I explain the psychology behind these motivation systems and the importance of striking a balance between them in another video, so I'd really recommend watching that if you're interested. I'll link it in the description for you. Now onto the weekly spreads for the rest of June. For all of the setups that I'll be doing in this video, I'll be using my grid spacing ruler to be able to quickly divide the pages up into halves, thirds or quarters. And good news for those of you who asked for a ruler for B5 journals. B5 rulers are now available and I'll be putting them up on my Etsy shop today. For the first layout, I'm dividing the page into thirds. In an A5 journal, the page doesn't divide equally into thirds, so you can choose where you want to put the two remaining spaces. I'm going to leave them in between the boxes to create some white space between them. I'm then sticking some craft paper washi tapes to the sides, and these are from Miso Paper, which is a shop in the UK that has so many amazing supplies. I just want everything from there. I'll be using my acrylic stamps from Archer and Olive that I used throughout my June setup. These are fun to use and they just add something special to your pages. All supplies are linked in the description. If you decide to get these lovely stamps or anything from Archer and Olive, my code is Raksha10, which you can enter at checkout to get 10% off your order. I used a 08 black Sakura fine liner to draw the lines separating my three sections on the page. I then grabbed my favourite Tombow brush pen, which is the 990, to highlight the tops of each box. The side of the page will be where I write June and the dates for that week. My kids, who are 3 and 5 years old, they love arts and crafts and have a big box full of creative supplies and scrap paper. I found this white grid paper in their stash and borrowed a bunch of it for my spreads. It adds a nice scrapbooky feel. This weekly spread is going to be divided into categories rather than days of the week. I find that categories just encourage me to sit down and think about things more, which just brings more mindfulness into the week. The first section is focus, where I'll think about the key things I want to focus on that week. This just helps me stay aligned with my goals for the week and remember what's important for this week. Then there's a section for the main tasks that I need to get done this week, and I can write them up in 2 columns within this section if I need the space. If I have a lot on or small unrelated tasks that all need to be written down, sometimes I have a master task list that I keep adding to on a separate page. Then I have a section for next week. So if a task pops into mind but it's not a priority for this week, I can dump it in here, which clears up space in my mind to be able to focus on this week. Then I have threats, which we talked a lot about in the motivation wheel video. It's good to be aware of them ahead of the week so you can balance them out with relaxing activities or be kinder to yourself if you have a particular pressurizing or difficult week ahead. Next, we have gratitude. You might be very thankful for things in your life, but the process of turning those thoughts into words that you've actually written down is such an important part of the process. Finally, we have highlights. You want to be aware of the good things that happened in the week because we all have an inbuilt negativity bias that makes us pay more attention to things that we think aren't going so well. So bringing your attention to good things that have happened, no matter how small, is really important to create a sense of calm in your life. For the next weekly spread, I'm dividing the page into 3 sections again. this time leaving the white space at the top and the bottom of the pages. Then I'm taking a page of dotted craft paper from my trusty Archer and Olive craft notepad to rip up and stick in the corners of my spread. I then added some tape and one of my floral stamps, and then another lovely bullet journal accessory from this little pad of floral paper. This is from Miso paper as well. I then used the days of the week stamps from Archer and Olive to label the boxes with the days of the week and the weekend. I wrote up June and the dates for that week. And then I added some of the kids' grid paper to the section on the end because I realised I didn't leave enough space for me to write, and I got a bit carried away with the craft paper tapes instead and used up all the writing space. In this layout, you can use the sides for any prompts you like. You can have the space for writing up your gratitude list, your threats, or have an emotional check-in. I'm using it to write a fun list to remind me of some of the fun things I can do that week instead of just focusing on all of the to-dos. And on the other side, a mindful list to call out some ways I can bring mindful activities into my week. For the next spread, I'm using the ruler to mark off a quarter at the top for my header. Below that, I'm dividing the page into 2 columns. On the other side, I've just divided the page into half horizontally and vertically. I filled up the header space with some craft paper, the craft washi tapes, and a piece of paper from the floral paper pad. You don't actually have to decorate the pages at all if you want more space for lists and prompts, which I often do. I guess I'm just having fun with the different textures and my new supplies, so I'm going a bit wild today. I added in June and the dates for that week. The left-hand page will be for tasks, and often I like to divide them into work and personal. Over on the next page, I drew 4 boxes in between the pencil lines that I drew up with the ruler. This spread is going to be based on the base model for mental wellness. And I was introduced to this by the lovely Kendra, who I met through this YouTube channel and through Instagram, and she always has lots of good ideas. This model almost serves as a self-care checklist, and each letter stands for a different category that you can address in your self-care routine throughout the week. Experts argue that a routine that covers activities in each of these areas is key for staying mentally healthy. B is for body, checking in with your body and doing things that serve your body's needs, whether it's exercise, sleep, or mindful movement. A is for achievement, things that you can do that give you a sense of accomplishment, small wins, hobbies, goals, whatever it means to you. C is for connection, both connecting with yourself through things like journaling and connecting with others. And E is for enjoyment, things you can do that make you smile, laugh, or give you joy. For the next spread, I divided the page into quarters, leaving the extra white space at the top this time for a teeny tiny header, because I wanted most of the space to be in the body of the spread. I split the page into half vertically so I could draw 8 boxes up on each page. I added the header with some craft washi tapes, the grid paper, and the dates for that week. Then for each day, I have 2 boxes. The first box is going to be used for me to write down the main tasks for that day. It's good to be able to get those out of your head. And then the second section is dedicated to observations. Being mindful is about observing the things around you or the thoughts and feelings inside of you. We make thoughts and observations throughout the day that come and go, and it's just really useful to jot them down. And sometimes it just really makes you take note of what you're thinking or experiencing. By doing this, you might end up making interesting discoveries about yourself, or you might just feel better immediately after observing how you feel about something. Or your observations might turn into a good idea that you can do something with. My observations throughout the week often turn into a useful insight that I share in my weekly newsletter. So I find it's quite important to hold on to any kind of observation you have rather than losing it throughout the day. I finished off with the floral stamps that always complete the spread nicely. So these were a few ideas to help bring mindfulness into your weekly spreads. There are so many dedicated spreads you can also do for mindful self-care, self-esteem, growth, awareness, and I have a series of videos coming on those, so be sure to subscribe if you'd like to see those and follow me on Instagram. As always, let me know what you think in the comments. I always love hearing from you, even if it's just to say hi or to hear what you think of the spreads, how you like to set up your own journal, or things that you like to do to be more mindful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.